Nice.
Good evening to everyone. We pray that all is well and that everyone is having a great evening so far. Listen, as you all know, we are having Her Girls World 3.0 coming up this weekend. So I pray that those of you who are joining us on social media, on Facebook, I pray that you can hear me. I might need to check my phone just to make sure. Um, Ladies, if you will, turn the volume on your phone. Well, no, you should be good. You'll need to hear me. So let me just double check really, really quickly to make sure. Yep. So good. So they can hear. Okay. So, y'all, we're going to chime right in because we know that people have Bible study going on tonight, but we wanted to bring some experience from the girls. It is Her Girls World. So, we're talking about the girls' experience on tonight. And so, tonight I have with me two of our young girls from House of Rescue Church Ministry who have participated in some measure in Her Girls World. So, I have Tremichael Miles. And I also have Carmen Miles. And no, they're not related, but I do have two of our amazing young women in Christ. They're really growing strong in God and growing into mature young women. So we're excited about them. And I just wanted you all to hear their perspective and hear what they think about Her Girls World, because it's one thing for us as adults to push it, but we want to know what the girls' experience is like. So we're going to move right into things. First, I want to ask you all, what has been your participation in Her Girls World? Tell me how old you are, and if so, this is our third time doing it, hence 3.0. So I just want to know what how old you are and if you were participating in both of the previous ones or just one of them. And Tremichael, we'll start with you.
I'm 14 years old and I participated in the previous two.
And okay, so both 2 years you were here with us.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Carmen?
I'm 17, and this will be my third year, so I participated in both of the previous two Her Girls Worlds.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome aboard. We're happy to have people who have been with us since the beginning and who have been with us to see how we're growing. So let's talk about some of your most memorable takeaways or experiences, if you will. So think about like the classes you took, think about the discussions you had, or teachers, or any of our guest speakers, or maybe in the afternoon when we do the ministry breakouts. Tell us a little bit about that experience. Carmen?
Start with me. Okay. So, one of the takeaways I could get from this is like just really be who you are and continue to grow in Christ. If you haven't already started, like it's not too late to start. And Her Girls World would be like a great place to start if you want to try it out. So, and one of my most memorable like moments were the abstinence class, like talking about how young girls and staying pure, like
Mm-hmm.
I would help you along the way and with growing in God most of all. So
Mm-hmm.
those were one of my most memorable moments. And
Awesome.
that's
And
in
that's
the
so,
previous.
I'm sorry, go ahead. What you said?
That's all. That's all.
Oh, and that's so important. So, y'all, she talked about we had a class on abstinence and purity, and what does that mean? And of course, we break it down for age level. So right now she's 17. So 2 years ago she would have been 15. The same thing for Tremichael. Tremichael's 14. So 2 years ago she would have been 12. So they would have been, well, Carmen would have been in the same class as she's going to be in, but Tremichael was about to be in a different class now because she was in the 12-year-old class last time. So we break topics down according to age level, so we make sure that it's appropriate for the age. So, Tremichael, tell us about maybe your favorite class or some takeaways and experience that you had, a teacher, a speaker. Tell us about your experience with Her Girls World.
I remember at the first one of my favorite memories from the first one that I ever been to was when we had a jump rope competition and I won. It was awesome because we were jump roping and we were having the time of our lives. We weren't worried about anything else. We were just and everybody was still inside and they were preparing. And it was still different age group classes, but then eventually I think everyone had came out and we were all just, jump roping and horseshoe playing, just doing things that normal kids would do, even for certain kids that wouldn't do things that kids would do. And it made me feel we had fun. And that's what I like about the first one. I remember the second one, because I got older than the second one, so I was in a different age group. We learned more about testimonies and things that we should know about that some parents actually won't talk about because they don't feel comfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I like. That's what I like about that because in different age groups they do talk about different things, and in certain ones you get a certain level of a situation, and then in another you get a lower level or higher level.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, making it age appropriate. So I love that. I love that each of you hit on some key things. So, for those of you who have not attended or parents who are thinking about it, it shows the range. We talk about serious things like abstinence and purity, but we also encourage the girls just to be girls. Go out, jump rope. Don't have a care in the world. Don't think about things that may be going on at home. Don't think about peer pressure at school. Just allowing the girls to be girls. And even some of us adults went back to being a girl, right? We were out there jumping and carrying on. I had to remind the women, this is for the girls. So thank y'all for sharing that with us. I didn't ask you this. What did you expect when you first heard about it? So the very first year, being that both of you were here for 2 years, the very first time we had it, it wasn't anything to refer it to. So were you nervous about going? Did you have any apprehension about it? Like, what did you think about it the very first time you were going? Like when you first went in on that Friday night, what were you thinking on the way to the church? Michael?
I was more so scared because I was like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen if I don't meet people, like I don't make friends, because I'm in a completely different age group from my sister. We're 2 years apart, so I was like, oh my gosh, what happens if I don't get to talk to anyone, or they don't like me, or they think I'm weird? But then I
Mhm.
got there and it was a safe space, and we learned about stories of the Bible. That was my first night. We learned about stories of the Bible, and you have the same concern every time you go back because you always know you're gonna meet a different person, and
That's good. Yeah.
you learn a bunch of different things from each person that you meet.
Awesome. Carmen, what did you think? So on the car ride to Her Girls World the first time, what kind of thoughts were you having?
I mean, I was mostly thinking about like, what are we gonna be doing? But like, I didn't really know what to expect, like going. So I was just like, I'm going to support my church. My church. Okay, so I'm gonna go and like see what's going on. Most
Hmm.
of all,
Hmm.
yeah.
So you just kind of wanted to see what it was going to be about. So you didn't necessarily have any type of anxiousness about it, or just you weren't too concerned. It was more so like eager just to see like what's going to happen, like what is this going to be about. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Miss McQuell, you're messing up the background, ma'am. um, okay, so let's move on because we have just a few minutes before Bible study. So I'm loving the fact that you all were at both, but have different takeaways. And y'all, that's the main thing. That's the important thing, that each girl that attends will have a different experience and will have different takeaways. So that's awesome. Um, so for Michael, you were kind of concerned about if anybody's going to know me, are they going to like me? I think you talked about it a little bit. So what was it like once you got here?
When I first got there, it was my concerns. It seemed as if my concerns were coming true, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know anybody." I only knew a few people, but then I remember when I first got there, when I got in there, and I remember I think my first time when we were learning the stories of the Bible, Miss V was my teacher, and we were learning, and it was so much fun, and we were answering questions, and I remember we played with Play-Doh at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and I still have a picture of the little Play-Doh. I think it was a dinosaur that I made, and I just remember it was so much fun because we were in like an older age group, but we were still playing with Play-Doh, and it was a little
Yeah.
confusing. Everybody was talking about it until they started playing with the Play-Doh, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is fun!"
Yeah.
And then I remember before I left, I made like 2 or 3 friends, and I ended up getting their number, and we talked for a while after that.
Oh, so you made a
But
friend
yeah,
from the, yeah.
it's,
Awesome, awesome. And I love the fact that you hone in on opening up your experience, your eyes to things that you may think, ah, that's for kids, or oh, I'm beneath that, or oh, I don't really like that. And then you try it and it's like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. That's pretty fun. Good stuff. Carmen.
Oh, the question.
Yep. You was gonna say that the question.
I was into her
That's
response.
okay.
In my
That's
mind.
okay. So the question is, and so your response might be a little bit different because you were looking at you were less concerned about are they going to like me and more concerned about what is this about. So once you got there, did you feel like you were comfortable and you knew what as you went did we was it comfortable enough for you to get something out of it to enjoy it, or did you still leave and think like, whoa, what was that about, what did I just do? So how did
Yeah. So I feel like the first night it's just like okay, we are opening up, or like gonna have fun. So like
mm-hmm,
be open enough for like the Saturday service. So like
mm-hmm,
we played a few board games, and like of course we we're like a little bit away from each other, but like when like we started to do more stuff together, we started to open up and like have more fun, be able to have more fun at least.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm,
and
yeah.
that's why we do it that way, to have the game night at first, so that you have time to open up and get acclimated. So that when we have the discussions on Saturday in the classes and things like that, you're a little bit already used to the girls. So y'all, we're about to wrap this up. So what would you tell? And I think we talked about your experiences and taking things with you. Do either of you have anything to say regarding how it's impacted your life, or anything that you learned that you take with you, or a situation where something came up, whether at school or at home, and you don't have to give the details, but just something came up where you can say, "Oh, we talked about that at her girls' world," or if you get low in spirit, I remember how refreshed I felt at the altar. Just anything that you experienced or learned at her girls' world that you applied or that came up in your regular everyday life. Do any of you have anything like that?
I remember in my second one, the second time I came to it, we learned two different testimonies. We had Miss DeAndre's testimony and Miss Carlicia's testimony. And I remember
Mm-hmm,
learning, and we were learning about pure, like being pure and staying pure
mm-hmm,
so the Lord can use you and things of that nature. And I remember just hearing those testimonies, and there were two completely different testimonies on pure, like on a
mm-hmm,
pureness level, and learning two different things can happen to you. So knowing that you're still with God and that you can stand with God, it shows you what can happen and how you can end up if you don't stay
mm-hmm,
on the right track and if you
mm-hmm.
don't keep yourself pure. And I love that, and I still think about that to this day because it's like when if I ever have to encounter something that I know won't have me pure after I'm done, I think about that and I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think about it all the time.
And y'all, Carmen and I were talking about that same thing before we hopped on. We talked about that same thing about just taking that and applying that, and it causes you to think about some things. So it may not be every single day that you think about something from her girls' world, but it's something that you can fall back on. So even if maybe your friend is dealing with something, maybe it's not you, but maybe it's your friend, and you can encourage your friend to be a certain way or not to do a certain thing. So um, I appreciate that. Carmen, did you have anything else that you want to say?
She basically summed it
Okay, I
like
figured as much because we are. Yep, yep, yep.
yeah.
So then the last thing I do want to ask you to, if there are any, and I forgot to say this, parents, I forgot to say, grab your daughters, grab your nieces, your young, I forgot to say that. So go back and let them watch this. But so if there are any young girls, any girls, because it goes from ages 5 to 17. So 5 to 17 are welcome. If you had to say something to encourage them, if a girl who's thinking about coming, or a parent who's thinking about letting their child come or registering their daughter, what would you say to that parent or that child? Carmen?
I would like tell the girl in general, like if you're willing to grow or like just come out and like see what's going on, her
Mm-hmm,
girls will be like a good first start.
mm-hmm,
And it's like fun, but you also like gain knowledge and you learn more from it. You might not take it with you every day, but like you said, you can fall back on it and remember. And if you come out and you love it, you can come back for another year and another year until like you reach the age where you can go out into the world remembering what you learned from her girls' world.
awesome, awesome. Jermichael, y'all, we got like 2 minutes. Jermichael?
I would mainly just say definitely bring your girls. They will learn so much and they'll have fun. They will make friends. They will. I remember at one event, I'm not sure which one, but I think it was a certain event. I learned how to double dutch. It's not much. It's not. It doesn't seem like much, but learning how to do certain necessities, especially for kids now, because they're so stuck
Yep.
on technology, being
Yep.
able to go outside and play double dutch and jump rope,
Yep.
horseshoe and tag, hide and seek, basketball, all that stuff. And it's it's an experience that you always should try to have or try to get for your kid. That's why I
Right.
think you should definitely bring your girls to her girls work because it's so much fun. You do different stuff every time, and you learn a bunch of new
Yes.
things.
I love it. Well, thank you both so very much. They said so much. Y'all know, I'm from the Bronx, New York, and that's what we did growing up is do double dutch. I don't know about what they do, but we did double dutch, double orange, double apple. We did it. So yes, we want to make sure that the girls can just be girls. So thank you all for your time. Y'all, we're gonna hop off from here because we know we have to get ready for Bible study, but we just wanted to take some moments to talk about the girls experience and encourage you to register your girl. It's this Friday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. It's game night. We'll feed them, we'll have fun, we'll have games, they'll get to know each other, get to know us. And then on Saturday we have starting at 8:30 we have breakfast, then we go into classes, then we have lunch, and then we do ministry breakouts, and then we come back for a closing session. And this year our closing session will feature none other than Lady Victoria Scott Lambert. She will be our guest speaker on this Her Girls World 3.0. So we're excited to have her. So please register. You'll see the barcode behind me. It's on our church Facebook page, House of Rescue Church Ministries. It's on my personal page, Nakia Hogard Brown. If you have any questions and you don't quite know what to do or you're not quite sure, call 251 222 2140. We'll make sure that we get the information to you. So thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you, Michael. Y'all, they were about to just lose it. They were so nervous, but they did so great. So we're gonna give them a round of applause. Thank y'all so much for doing that. And you all be blessed. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.